Welcome to the Friends in Business podcast with your hosts, Ben Wright and Jemimah Ashleigh. Ben, known as the sales strategist, and Jemimah, our resident visibility expert, are here to share their wealth of knowledge and experience with a little fun along the way. Whether you're a leader, entrepreneur, or aspiring business owner, this is the podcast where we share everything we know about business to help you succeed. Let's get started. Welcome to the Friends in Business podcast.
Hi, welcome back to another episode of Friends in Business podcast. Hi Ben, how are you?
Hello, Jemimah. I'm excellent.
How's your day been?
Good. How's yours?
Really, really good. I will say though, we're getting towards the end of our, we're about to wrap up the day. We've done a whole busy planning day today. We're about to head out for dinner and I'm really looking forward to it. Yeah. I
love going out for dinner. What is it that you are looking forward to about going out, apart from spending time with us? What else?
One of my favourite things about it is, one, change of atmosphere and a bit of scenery. And don't get me wrong, it's not the worst place in the world to be for the day.
It's a lovely place to be.
But it is about just sitting at a table, having conversations, because we often get consumed on the business side, I think, when we sit down together. Someone like, oh, I've got this idea, and we're two entrepreneurial minds coming together.
Yeah, it's nice to be able to change your pace. It's nice to be able to talk with people and share stories, I think, is a really big thing for me about, it's why you often choose to hang out with the people you hang out with is it's either a joint common interest is really, really common. They've been friends since school, right?
Yeah.
So you're stuck with them, which is really, really common. But people I often like hanging out with are those who also know how to tell really good stories. And they're not everyone is a good storyteller, but everyone has stories to tell.
Yes, I remember you said this on a previous podcast. Yeah. And I was like, wow, that has described me so much. It is really true that a lot of people, the storytelling is really important, because I always really like, a couple of times I've been, can you tell us that story about that thing that you did at the time that you met Oprah, or that moment where you got lost at the airport, or those things. And they're often the things that we tell other people as well. You should meet Ben. He's the guy that
Tell stories. Or he's the guy that did this.
Yeah.
And it is so powerful for me. I've always got a story around business that I can tell. I've often got one around sport that I can tell. And not just having experienced the stories, but also being able to tell the stories is really impactful, because as that quote says, whilst not everyone is a great storyteller, you've got the stories to tell. We've just got to help you become a better storyteller, particularly in business.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that I think is really overlooked, particularly in the business part of this, Ben, is that we often have people who we forget business stories is how we learn. So how do we know the ridiculous amount of blueberries you have in your fridge at the moment? How do we know that they're okay to eat? And that's because through the years, people went and tried different berries, and someone got sick and someone passed away, and those stories are told to us over time. How we teach children to tie their shoelaces. I'm helping my nephew learn to tie his shoelaces at the moment. Also, didn't realise that was a 4-week event. Didn't realise we were there. But it's about the bunny who runs around the tree and goes in the hole.
Up the rabbit hole.
Yeah. And we teach stories because it's how we learn. Yeah. And it's how best we understand and comprehend the world around us. Yeah. And I think storytelling is, and I know that's what we're talking about today, but storytelling is so interesting because it tells us about our experiences, where we've come from, and particularly it can also help show how we can help people and where we get them to where they're going.
And it has previously been really underrated in business. I would say really underrated. I don't think it is anymore. I think storytelling has been recognised as something that's important in business. Now, people have always told stories. You can go back to the dawn of time and people have told stories, and it's a very powerful way that people come together. But I don't think it's been at the front of mind in business to say we actually need to be good at telling stories, yet we seem to hang out with those people and do business with those people who make us feel special or feel important or feel valued, and often that's through stories. So, yes, I do want to focus on storytelling today, and I want to provide a nice little framework around it. But I think more than that is I just want to emphasise for those people that are listening that if you feel like you're not a great storyteller at the moment, it's okay. In fact, I did a coaching session with one of my clients recently, and they have 8 or 9 sales leaders. So they're a sales team of about 60. They're a multi-billion-dollar business. And of these 8 or 9 leaders, it was 9, in fact, that we did coaching sessions with them. And I really love working with this business. Their ultimate leader is super dynamic. Yeah. And I think these leaders as well are all wanting to learn. And in those sessions, it was a choose your own adventure. Pick anything you want to talk to Ben about that's business related, and we'll go through it. Have a guess how many of them brought up storytelling.
I'd say no, none.
Yeah, and that's previously what you think. And most people would say, look, storytelling's not on my radar. 6 of the 9 expressed an interest to become better at telling stories. And this is unprompted. I
was about to say, look at how much was it like, here's a storytelling expert. Because it's not something that you immediately think, especially, particularly in sales, you're not thinking. Yeah. But I mean, but again, this is how we learn, right? And if this is a conversation that we're speaking to, this is incredible.
Yeah, and to be fair, some of them started with wanting to understand how they could better engage an audience, how they could better captivate an audience, and they moved on. I said, okay, so what does that look like? And they said, well, I want to be in a meeting and being more engaging. And I said, what does that look like? And eventually we get to the storytelling. But the point is, 6 of those 9 people actually wanted to learn how to better engage their audiences.
Huge numbers. Numbers.
Yeah. So what I'm not going to do today, I'm leading today. What I'm not going to do is tell lots of stories. Right. But I am going to look at a framework that works in telling stories and give you a couple of ways where you might be able to use that to your advantage. All right, so this is short and punchy, this framework. For me, in telling a story, and you know me well, that I love to talk in 3s or 5s, and this is killing me because I've got to talk in a 4 today.
The moment has arrived where all the time, so it's like, I've got 4 points, and then it's like, you need to lose 1 or you need to gain 1. Make a choice. And it's like, can I just take 1 second to savor this moment? Okay, I've done it. Okay, great, cool.
Okay.
Tell us your fault.
You had your minute. All right. So whenever we're telling story frameworks, for me, what's really important is above everything else, we actually write down all of our stories. I'm going to pause on that and come back to it because I don't want people to think I've skipped past the really important part. But let's talk about the framework first. Most people will say a story has a beginning, a middle, and an ending, right? And that would have been a nice, neat 3 things for me to talk about. But I don't think that actually helps you tell a better story by saying I need to have a start, I need to have a middle, and I need to have an end. The framework that I work on that is really successful starts with a problem or an opportunity. So, for example, our business has the problem of not generating enough leads to hit our sales target.
Yes.
So we start with the problem or the opportunity. We then move into the impact. So the impact that that's having on the business. So to extend this story out, our business has a problem of not generating enough leads, which is stopping us hitting our revenue targets and placing pressure on the bottom line of the business.
Yes.
Placing pressure on the salespeople within our team, impacting the culture within our sales team, causing our sales manager to get grumpy, right? There's lots of impacts in there, but we need to understand the impact that's relevant to our audience. So we have a problem or an opportunity, the impact that it's having. What the impact does is it brings to life the problem and it makes it relatable to the audience, right? We can talk about someone having an issue with a renovation. We can talk about someone being not sure around public speaking. We can talk about lots of different things, but when we humanise and we talk about the impact, that's really significant. So problem or opportunity, impact, and then we talk about the solution that comes out of that. So our business has a problem. We're not generating enough leads. It's stopping us hitting our revenue goals, which is causing a really cranky sales manager, right? We'll play a bit silly with this one. The solution is Jenny, a member of our team, took it on her own back to go to 2 networking events over the last month, completely on her own, and generated 6 leads.
Yes.
That's the solution. Jenny said, I'm going to step up to the plate. We're not generating enough leads. I'm going to get out there and I'm going to go and do it myself. And here's what I got. I got 6 leads for the business out.
Yes.
Right. Okay. So look, it's a story. Now this is a very bland and vanilla business story, but I think we keep them nice and bland to be able to focus on the example focus on the framework rather than get too focused on the example. So we have any problem or an opportunity. We have the impact that it's having on the business or the person or the group of people, and then the solution that we go for. The fourth part of this framework, and this is the most important, is the outcome that it had on that same audience. So if I extend out this example, our business is not generating enough leads. We have a cranky sales manager, and the solution is that Jenny went out and booked 6 appointments through 2 networking events this month. If every person in our business was able to do the same thing, we would not only hit our revenue target for this month, but we would exceed it. So what we're talking about here is how that if that solution can be applied across the whole business, outcome that it can have is really significant on the business as a whole.
Storytelling is so interesting because for me, I so have historically equated this to being just give me a really good example of what it looks like. That's how I would always really kind of explain, okay, I understand what you were asking us to do, but what does it look like at the back end?
Yeah.
What is that solution part of it?
Yeah.
And it's just such a great tool to go, but let's give it the title of storytelling. Like, not that, give me an example of what that would look like in real life. Because that's what I've historically said.
Yeah.
We're like, well, what do we need to do? Oh, Jenny, okay, so what do we need to do? Because it's an actionable item.
Yeah.
Because I think where storytelling is also fallen down, it's just, we're going to hear a fable, a moral idea. We're going to have a turtle and a hare situation that we're loosely going to be able to grab hold of and go, okay, I kind of understand how that equates here. Whereas you're really advocating for, let's go the step-by-step focus, but let's tell it as a story and a problem. This, then this, then this. Here is the example.
Yeah. Yeah, and what I like about it is that it is relatable if you keep it really, really clinical and practical what you're talking about. But what it does is it gives you a repeated format to be able to tell that story.
Yeah.
And we know that as humans, we crave habits and consistency and certainty. So when we're able to actually say, do you know what? I know how to tell a story. It's not about a beginning, a middle, and an end, because that I could go anywhere with that. It's about what's the opportunity or problem, what's the impact, the solution, and then the outcome that it had for the audience.
Yeah.
So when we can do that, what I think we then do is build some confidence to go and say, right, what are my 10 stories that I want to tell?
Yeah, I love that.
Right, and you spoke certainly when we were talking about media in some earlier episodes around making sure that we know with our media appearances, what are the 10 things we can talk about? We want to be able to do that from a storytelling point of view.
Yes.
Right? And that's not just, that could be with our customers. Be able to have for our customers 10 case studies. In fact, the businesses I work with, we actually do case studies around that same format. Anything that's got to do with delivering a message, we try and follow that format. Problem, impact, solution, outcome.
This is what instead of being, Fred had a job, Fred did some stuff, and Fred's now here. It's now far more advanced and giving almost a blueprint on how to do that.
It's exactly what it is. It's a storytelling blueprint. So look, and for me, my encouragement here is to get out and talk about those, or think about those 10 stories that you want to be telling, and then start practicing. Now, here's a little kicker to help those who want to start practicing stories. I am an advocate of AI to help us be better at what we do, but not replace what we do.
Yeah, we have to. This is a tool that's not going away. We need to now integrate it into what we're currently doing to make our jobs not obsolete.
That's right. And where this can work really well is if you're not confident in taking the facts you have. So if you had a fact around your story, let's work off another story. So if you had a fact around your story around customer has a financial problem that is causing significant stress to the business, and the solution needs to be to buy better, with the outcome being that if they bought better across 8 of their categories, their financial stress is going to disappear, right? we put those examples into our storytelling format. You roll that into a ChatGPT or something similar, and you can see your story come out.
Yeah.
So it'd have prompts along the lines of, please pull together a 200-word motivational story directed at my target market, directed at a manufacturing facility that focused on them having a financial problem around blah, that was causing deep stress to the business. However, the solution of better procuring 8 of their key products would result in them having this impact on their business. What happens is that ChatGPT will actually punch you out a story. Now, it's going to sound a little bit computer-driven still. I can pick up an AI-driven piece of communication versus a human-written piece of communication in about 2 or 3 seconds. But what it does is it gives you that framework and context.
Yeah.
So all you need to do is just personalize
and tweak it.
Tweak it. Exactly.
And one of the other things I'll say, just following the chat thing here, chat is getting so good, and I know we're talking exclusively about chat GPT, and I know there's tons of other ones out there. But what I find really interesting is that if we can teach it. This is what's so interesting. I've just found out, and it's one of when you unlock a life milestone that maybe you weren't prepared to have. A girlfriend told me she was a client of a lab for a long time and become really good mates through that process. You become friends with your clients as well eventually.
Yeah.
But there was this beautiful moment where she said, did you know that you can type into chat in the voice of Jemimah Ashleigh, pop me out a couple of social media posts?
Yeah, wow.
I have enough content out there now on podcasts and blogs and books and that sort of stuff.
Does she have an avatar?
She's in there.
Yeah.
She's living in there. And it's really incredible because the other thing is we can teach her. We can teach chat to go and learn about us. And I know the paid version's way better at this, but you can actually get it to ask you questions, learn your business, and then continually get her to learn about that stuff. Yeah. So if this was a really good tool for you, you could actually teach her story after story, time after time.
Yeah, cool.
And have a really solid voice about what the business does as well to add extra on top of that.
Love it. All right, well, let me recap. The framework is problem or opportunity, the impact it's having, solution, and outcome.
Yes.
They're your 4 parts of the framework. I really encourage people to give it a go. What's your number one piece from today?
Silver bullet today for me is just the impact that changing the language, I guess, from telling the story and educating through that storytelling process can, because it's how we learn, really does impact the bottom line quite dramatically. Humans learn by storytelling, and we don't use enough in business.
Okay, so yours is saying get out and tell more stories.
Absolutely.
Right. Yeah, and look, for me, it's use the framework.
Yeah.
It's a very simple framework. Practice it. Give it 10 or 15 goes before you judge yourself on it. It takes time, right? Be kind to ourselves. We are our harshest critics. I'm absolutely in that camp. But get out, give that framework a go, right? Because if there's one thing that I'm really confident with around stories is it'll get you business, but it'll also make you friends.
These are getting worse and worse, and I'm so here for it, Ben.
Well, we've been your friends in business.
I guess we have.
Can't wait for next week. Talk to you soon.
I've been tried and you know I've been tested.
Thank you for listening to the Friends in Business podcast. This episode was brought to you by your hosts, Ben Wright and Jemimah Ashleigh, recorded in beautiful Noosa, Queensland. For more insights and resources, visit Ben at strongersalesteams.com and Jemimah at jemimahashleigh.com. If today's podcast has helped you, we'd be so grateful if you could leave a review and share with someone you know. This will help more people in the world benefit from the hard work we're putting in to bring you the best content we possibly can.